Hi everybody and welcome to our reading corner. As you can see, I have a little reading buddy with me today. She's not happy about that. When you're reading at home, I want you to find somebody that you can read with. That way they can help you if there's words you get stuck on, and you can show them how you've been learning to read. Oh, now she's back. I don't know if she'll stay here though. Sometimes you'll see me in my reading corner, and sometimes I'll be reading from a different place, okay? So we'll see what different places our read-alouds will be each day. Let's turn that down so we can get... Oh, there she is. I'm going to pretend like I'm reading to her, because that will actually help my reading go a little bit better. And the same thing works for you at home, too. Our book today is called Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. I bet we've talked about these days before, haven't we? I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running, and I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. What about his body tells you he's having a bad day? What clues do we see? Maybe his arms being crossed like he's angry, or maybe his face is kind of frowny and his eyes are kind of down. At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box. And Nick found a junior undercover agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, all I found was breakfast cereal. There he is. There's those clues again telling us he's unhappy. I think I'll move to Australia. In the carpool, Mrs. Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window, too. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being smushed. I said, if I don't get a seat by the window, I'm going to be car sick. No one answered. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. And when I read that line again, the next time in the book, I want you to say it with me, and then we can read it together, okay? At school, Mrs. Dickens liked Paul's picture of the sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. Invisible castle, huh? At singing time, she said I sang too loud. At counting time, she said I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There's our picture clues again. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said that Philip Parker was his best friend and that Albert Moyo was his next best friend and that I was only his third best friend. You ever experienced that before? I hope you sit on a tack, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone, the ice cream part falls off the cone part and lands in Australia. You think it was very nice of Alexander to say those things to his friends? I don't think so. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag, and Albert got a Hershey bar with almonds, and Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll that had little coconut sprinkles on the top. Guess whose mother forgot to put in dessert? It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There he is with his sad face. That's what it was, because after school, my mom took us all to the dentist, and Dr. Fields found a cavity just in me. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Fields. Next week, I said, I'm going to Australia. On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot, and while we were waiting for my mom to go get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy. And then when I started crying because of the mud, Nick said I was a crybaby, and while I was punching Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back with the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I am having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day, I told everybody. No one even answered. How do you think he could have handled this situation differently? Instead of punching his brother, what words could he have said to let him know how he was feeling? So then we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers. Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes. But when the shoe man said, "We're all sold out," they made me buy plain old white ones, but they can't make me wear them. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play with his copying machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was careful as could be, except for my elbow. He also said don't fool around with his phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Looks like they're all having a rough day now, huh? There were lima beans for dinner, and I hate limas. There was kissing on TV, and I hate kissing. My bath was too hot, I got soap in my eyes, and my marble went down the drain. And I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate my railroad train pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow he said I could keep. And the Mickey Mouse nightlight burned out, and I bit my tongue. The cat wants to sleep with Anthony, not with me. It has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom says some days are like that. Even in Australia. So what do you think Alexander learned the whole way through his bad day and the whole way through this book? Let's think about that for a second. We know he started off with a lot of things happening to him, right? He thought they were horrible, awful things, and they just made his day even worse. He got car sick in the car. He didn't get the shoes that he wanted. At lunch, his friends got good stuff, but he didn't get any dessert. All of those things made him think he was having a terrible day. But guess what? Do you think his whole day was really that horrible? Or do you think there were some good things that happened too? Sometimes when we have bad days, all we can think about is the bad part. That's the only part we remember. But what would happen if we stopped for a second and we thought about how our day actually went? If Alexander stopped and thought about his day, what good things do you think he might notice? Do you think he might notice that he had a good lunch, even if it wasn't exactly what he wanted? Do you think that he might not have gotten the prize in his cereal box this time, but maybe next time he could get it? What about when they went to pick up his dad from the office? Some bad things happened when he wasn't careful, but did he get to see his dad at work? That could have been the good part, right? And how about the shoes? He didn't get the shoes he wanted, but what happened? He got some new shoes, right? So the next time you think you're having a very bad, horrible day, I want you to think about the good parts. And you know what else you can do? If you see somebody else having a terrible day, maybe you can do something to help cheer them up and make them feel better about it. This has been Alexander and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I'll see you next time for our next read aloud. Happy reading.